Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are strapping in because the coming 2 weeks in Genoa City and Los Angeles are set to detonate a series of events that fuse massive international corporate espionage with deeply personal, potentially deadly family catastrophe. Our mission is to go beyond the summary. We are diving deep into a stack of sources detailing critical upcoming events, synthesizing the core crises, and identifying the shocking connections between the boardroom, the bedroom, and the emergency room. For you, the listener, this is the shortcut to understanding the complex web of vengeance, trauma, and control that defines this new dramatic phase.
Yeah, the material we have paints a picture of intense action, and what strikes me immediately is the psychological warfare at play. We're tracking the battle for a powerful, dangerous piece of technology. Let's call it the cognitive synthesis platform, or maybe just the AI for short.
The AI.
And simultaneously tracing the source of a targeted criminal act against a key family member. We'll be focusing on the mechanics of the corporate maneuvering, the psychological fallout of past trauma, and the specific historical baggage being dragged back into the light by several critical new introductions.
That's a perfect setup. So we're covering the agonizing fallout from what starts as Noah Newman's serious car accident, but quickly evolves into something much darker.
A crime scene, essentially.
Exactly. And then there's the high-stakes battle for control over the AI and the introduction of at least two key new characters, Detective Burrow and this mysterious Sienna Bacall. Both seem tied to an explosive, unresolved past in Los Angeles. Let's unpack the collision of these two worlds. Okay, let's start with the immediate crisis, the one that forced the Newman family to halt their corporate war machine, at least for a moment. Los Angeles. The week kicks off with Newman arrogance running pretty high.
Oh, yeah. Adam and Chelsea are deep in discussion about Kane's threat of a major lawsuit. After their worldwide reputation hit piece on him and Colin.
They're actually enjoying it, aren't they? Feeling like they won.
It's the definition of short-sighted hubris, really. They're patting themselves on the back for destroying a man's professional life, completely oblivious to the fact that they may have just, created a monster. But even amid this corporate smugness, Nick is just fixated elsewhere. He has this intense tunnel vision focused solely on getting to L.A. to check on Noah and Sharon.
And Victor's not on board initially.
Not at all. Victor initially dismisses this, thinks Nick is overreacting. He believes the legal threats at home demand his attention.
Yeah.
Classic Victor, right? Minimizing personal crises in favor of corporate power plays.
Yeah, business first. Until the phone rings.
That's the pivot. Victor's resistance to Nick's departure is just instantly annihilated by one phone call. The sources detail a hysterical call he gets from Sharon, reporting that Noah was in a severe car accident.
And we're not talking about a fender bender here. The emotional depth of her reaction is what completely flips the script.
Absolutely. The specifics of Sharon's hysteria are the key piece of analysis here. She's not just panicked about Noah's physical safety. She is, and the sources use this phrase, flipping out.
Flipping out. Wow.
And she specifically compares the tragedy to the horrific defining loss of Cassie Newman. That is a decades-old wound, a profound trauma for both Nick and Sharon, being instantly ripped wide open.
That comparison, that's the trigger. That's what changes everything. It transforms this accident from routine family worry into an absolute code-red emergency. Victor and Nick's collective parents immediately drop all debate. The corporate war pauses because the memory of Cassie, the stakes of losing another child, that's far more terrifying than any lawsuit Kane could throw at them.
And Victor responds exactly as you'd expect in a true crisis. Decisively, he prioritizes action over bureaucracy. He immediately orders the private jet to get Nick to L.A. as fast as possible.
Right.
It really highlights the fact that despite all the infighting, family safety, especially when it's anchored to a past tragedy like Cassie's death, is the ultimate line in the sand for the Newmans.
Okay, but here is where the plot darkens considerably. Just when you think we're heading into a story of recovery, maybe some hospital drama, the sources deliver a shock revelation. This comes later in the first week and bleeds into the second.
Yeah, Nick and Sharon are in for a devastating surprise because the strong indication from everything we're seeing is that Noah's crash was not a random accident.
Oh, no.
It was calculated, a targeted attack.
Targeted, so someone tried to kill him.
That's the implication. This is a seismic shift in the narrative. We move from human tragedy straight into a criminal investigation, signaling a much darker, longer-term story arc.
And Nick must be livid.
Oh, driven by fury and his protective instincts. He immediately starts work to figure out who targeted Noah, and the sources are quite specific here. All signs point to the crash, tying directly back to Noah's nightclub plan.
The nightclub. So this wasn't about Newman Enterprises or family feuds.
It doesn't seem like it, not directly. This strongly suggests that Noah got tangled up with some seriously dangerous element in the LA business, or maybe the criminal underground.
Like organized crime.
Could be. Or dangerous financial dealings, maybe turf wars over the club's location, its clientele. Something tied to that venture went very, very wrong.
Wow. It confirms that the Newman family's troubles are no longer confined to the, let's say, civilized, if aggressive, world of mergers and media attacks.
Exactly. They are dealing with potentially lethal enemies now.
And this investigation brings in a critical new player late the first week. Detective Burrow, played by Matt Cohen.
Right. We should expect him to really anchor the procedural element of this mystery moving forward.
So this isn't going away quickly.
No way. The introduction of a dedicated detective, played by a pretty prominent actor, signals this is not a quick wrap-up. This investigation is going to be complex, sustained.
And the fact that the threat apparently originated from Noah's nightclub, that suggests a level of violence that Genoa City, well, it rarely sees, doesn't it?
It really does. Noah was dabbling in a world where maybe business disputes are solved with targeted violence, not just lawsuits or bad press.
And the psychological cost for Sharon must be immense.
Unbelievable. She's not just dealing with the possibility of loss again, but with the terrifying realization that someone actively tried to murder her son. It must echo the helplessness she felt when she lost Cassie. This sustained trauma will absolutely affect her judgment and emotional stability as this whole investigation unfolds.
And for Nick, the urgency shifts, right? From just being a worried father to aggressively pursuing a criminal.
Definitely. And the juxtaposition is pretty stark, isn't it? Nick and Sharon dealing with potential attempted murder in LA, while Victor and Adam are back in Genoa City basically celebrating a successful corporate hit on Kane. It's incredible dramatic irony.
It really is. They're so focused on destroying their corporate rivals
that they fail to see the emerging, potentially physical threats bubbling up from the underworld connected to their own family's enterprises. It provides a perfect transition point, actually, to the man they thought they'd neutralized, Kane Ashby.
Right. While Nick and Sharon are grappling with near-fatal violence in LA back in Genoa City, the atmosphere is just defined by overwhelming corporate arrogance.
Yep. Chelsea and Adam are celebrating, feeling, as the sources put it, exceptionally smug. They're joking about the calm before the Kane storm with Victoria.
It's crucial to grasp the magnitude of what the Newmans did, isn't it? This wasn't just a minor setback for Kane and Colin.
Not at all. The story they were involved in, whatever the specifics were, has blown up worldwide. This isn't some local paper scandal. It's a global demolition of their financial and professional credibility.
And Adam thinks Kane is finished.
He's confident in his assessment. He doubts Kane can ever recover from such a catastrophic reputational hit. The entire Newman faction, Victor included, is just basking in the glow of having successfully executed what amounts to a corporate assassination.
But this celebration might be pretty short-lived, because they've pushed Kane to the brink, right into the arms of Phyllis, and right toward the ultimate technological weapon. Let's get serious about this AI. It's not some super-duper toy like maybe they first thought.
No, definitely not. We need to treat this technology with the severity it deserves. It's described as a cutting-edge cognitive synthesis platform. Think rapid data analysis, mass manipulation, devastating targeted attacks.
Okay, so really dangerous stuff.
Extremely. And when Kane approaches Phyllis, he's in this sort of moral flux. He actually suggests they use his AI, this incredibly powerful tool, to rehab their public images.
Wait, he wants to use it for good.
That's the pitch. Pivot the technology toward good instead of evil. This is Kane grasping for maybe a moral lifeline, a desire for redemption after being so publicly humiliated.
But Phyllis, he's not exactly the moral compass you'd turn to.
No, she is the purest form of moral poison for Kane right now. That suggestion of using the AI for good, it rubs her the wrong way.
She sees it as weakness.
A colossal strategic weakness. She isn't interested in redemption, not one bit. She insists they must use the AI specifically for calculated, devastating vengeance on their enemies.
Wow, straight for the jugular.
And what's fascinating here is the psychological dynamic. Phyllis is skillfully exploiting Kane's wounded ego, his legitimate sense of grievance. She's validating his rage, confirming he was wronged, and then offering him the ultimate tool for retribution.
And she's undermining his confidence, too.
Oh, yeah. She even reinforces his perceived incompetence by agreeing with Billy Abbott that Kane doesn't know what he's doing because he keeps changing his mind. She's actively trying to strip him of his moral center to get her hands on that technology.
And then she takes it a step further. The sources mention flirting.
Yes, a very high-stakes moment where Phyllis attempts to flirt, maybe use seduction, to maneuver the AI program out of Kane, and they nearly kiss.
Oh.
This is intense. Corporate-fueled foreplay, basically, with the keys to global data manipulation hanging in the balance.
But he pulls back.
This near kiss seems to be Kane's crucial moment of moral sobriety. Getting that close to Phyllis's darkness, her whole vengeful energy, it freaks Kane out.
It snaps him back to reality, maybe.
It seems like it. It forces him to confront the path she's trying to drag him down. And the immediate action he takes after she leaves is incredibly telling. He immediately tries calling Lily.
His wife, his anchor.
Exactly, only gets voicemail. Lily represents stability, normalcy, the moral choice. Phyllis represents chaos and vengeance. His frantic call proves he is desperately trying to avoid falling into Phyllis's trap.
And this hesitation. This is the only thing keeping the Newman family safe right now.
Pretty much. The warning from the sources is stark. If the Newmans, Chelsea, Adam, Victor continue to relentlessly push Kane, destroy his last avenues of recovery, isolate him completely,
He might stop calling Lily.
he might stop calling Lily and start listening to Phyllis. She is the literal devil on his shoulder, whispering that the only way forward is to use the AI to exact corporate and personal destruction against the Newmans.
So if Kane gives in,
He hands the ultimate threat to the Newman Empire. This AI is dangerous because it can amplify Phyllis's toxic need for retribution across a global network. And the irony, the Newmans' own internal strife is mirroring this external threat.
you mean Mickey.
Exactly. Nikki Newman is operating her own secret mission to neutralize the AI.
Why?
Because she suspects Victor will inevitably weaponize it against Jack Abbott.
Of course. But what's truly remarkable about Nikki's move is how it exposes Victor's legacy, doesn't it?
Completely. She's taking extraordinary measures to protect his chief rival, Jack, completely unaware that Jack himself wants the AI for the exact same reason, reciprocal defense against Victor.
So this whole conflict, this scramble for the ultimate data weapon, it's all Victor's fault.
You could argue that, yeah. His entire history of weaponizing data, secrets, technology,
Yeah.
it has fostered such intense paranoia that his own wife and his arch nemesis are simultaneously trying to disarm him using the very technology he's trying to acquire.
It creates this fascinating triangle.
Victor sees the AI as pure power. Nikki and Jack see it as a necessary defense mechanism against Victor.
And the person Kane is being pushed towards? Phyllis.
She is aligned with Jack. So if Kane goes rogue, he doesn't just hurt Newman, he potentially feeds the entire ecosystem of vengeance against Victor's corporate dominance. It just shows how the corporate war is fueled by these deeply personalized scores.
Okay, let's transition back to Los Angeles then, because the events unfolding there quickly connect back to all these corporate machinations.
Yeah.
While Noah is fighting for his life.
There's another dramatic subplot centered on Claire Grace Newman that's accelerating.
Right. And Victoria's still in Genoa City at this point, unaware of Noah's crash, specifically when she's dining with Adam and Chelsea.
That's what the sources indicate. She only knows that Claire's in L.A. It emphasizes the rapid overlapping timelines of these crises. Everyone's dealing with their own piece of the puzzle.
And Claire, is she okay?
Well, she's certainly embracing her escape. We see her out at a bar, clearly enjoying her independence, having Vespers with Halden Novak. And the sources make a point of describing her transformation. She's sporting a wilder, very distinct LA sort of smoky eye rocker chick look.
Trying on a new identity.
Exactly. It's a deliberate visual sign of her breakaway from the expectations and the trauma of Genoa City. Meanwhile, back home, Victoria is seeking comfort from Nate.
Worried about Claire.
Likely feeling immense maternal worry over Claire's independence in this new kind of chaotic environment, especially given the known issues with Kyle, and now the warnings about Holden.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Holden Novak. That warning is the critical link back to Kane and the AI, isn't it?
It is. Chelsea specifically cautions Victoria about Holden, states unequivocally that he is working for Kane and is a con artist and a player.
So not just some random LA guy Claire met.
No. He's potentially an operative tied to the man the Newmans just globally humiliated. which means Claire, seeking freedom, has walked directly into a potential corporate trap, or at least into the orbit of someone dangerous.
Okay, but the problem is, Kyle Abbott overhears this warning.
Right. Fueled by a mixture of, let's be honest, lingering obsession and maybe some genuine fear, he hears this.
And instead of prompting caution,
It only solidifies his decision. He pulls Victoria aside, declaring his intent to go to LA to win back Claire. He demands her location. He's framing it as a damsel in distress scenario that only he can solve.
this is where we need to address the critique about Kyle's behavior, though.
Yeah.
The sources use phrases like playing tough and giving off desperate stalker vibes.
They do.
We need to analyze that characterization. Is he truly a stalker, or is this just, the typical toxic male soap trope of aggressive pursuit being called out for what it is?
I think it's likely a calculated narrative move to shift audience sympathy, or at least perspective. Kyle isn't just concerned, his behavior is described as aggressive. When Victoria refuses to give up the location, arguing it's a bad idea for him to interfere out in California,
He doesn't listen.
his response is manipulative and demanding. This isn't presented as romance. It feels more like toxic possessiveness driven by ego. The source highlights the desperate element, suggesting his primary motivation is really to reassert control over a relationship he lost.
And the outcome is, well, completely predictable, isn't it?
Sadly, yes.
Mm.
Claire left Genoa City specifically to get away from stress and people exactly like Kyle. But her plan goes sideways because Kyle is expected to track her down anyway and just show up.
So his aggressive pursuit threatens to unravel Claire's attempts at finding stability.
And potentially puts her at genuine risk if Holden is indeed a dangerous operative connected to Kane's shady dealings. Kyle's interference could make things much worse.
And just as things get complicated for Claire, the past rushes in. We get the introduction of the new character, Sienna Bacall, played by the talented Tamar Braun.
Almost immediately in LA, Holden gets a blast from the past when he runs into his old friend Sienna on Tuesday. This suggests their shared history isn't ancient history, it's immediate and active.
Let's delve deeper into Sienna's potential role here. The speculation from our sources is that she is far more than just a casual acquaintance.
Right. She might be an ex-partner in crime with Holden, maybe a romantic ex, or possibly someone who shares deep financial secrets with him.
And the immediate nugget we get that links her back to the Genoa City drama is her profound dislike for Audra Charles.
Whom she mockingly and dismissively refers to as Audrey.
Audrey. Okay, that's pointed.
That specific slight tells us everything, doesn't it? This isn't random. We have an undeniable implied link here to Tucker McCall and Audra's past machinations.
Right.
The sources suggest that Sienna and Holden's history, which sounds like it will unfold the following week, involves some sort of major financial or corporate scheme, something that included Audra and Tucker during their time together in Los Angeles. This wasn't just them being generally sketchy.
We have to speculate on what that sketchy thing might actually entail, given that it was apparently never properly explained. Based on the sources, what are the most likely scenarios?
Well, given the players involved, Tucker, Audra, Holden, now Sienna, and the corporate context, you're looking at activities that could collapse a company. Misuse of shell companies, perhaps, sophisticated money laundering operations, or maybe covering up a massive corporate data breach that threatened Tucker's empire back then.
Something big enough to ruin careers, basically.
Absolutely. If Sienna and Holden were involved in covering up high-level financial fraud with Audra, then Sienna's reappearance is an existential threat to Audra's carefully constructed life in Genoa City.
And that past is finally going to hit home directly. On Friday, Audra gets an unpleasant reminder of the past.
This is the moment the chickens come home to roost, as they say. Likely triggered by Holden reconnecting with Sienna, maybe one of them reaches out.
And the fallout hits Audra hard on multiple fronts. Because Kyle, having failed to win back Claire in L.A.,
Right. He heads back to Genoa City alone.
he is almost certain to lash out at Audra, isn't he? Blaming her for his own failure.
Oh, definitely. Projecting his failure onto her, blaming her because Holden, this alleged associate of Kane, was near Claire. He'll likely use Audra's sketchy past as a weapon to excuse his own obsessive behavior.
Wow. The convergence of these plots is breathtaking, really. Noah's targeted crash, Claire's flight to freedom that goes wrong, the reemergence of Audra's shady past, and Kane's potential vengeance. It all pivots around Los Angeles.
It's creating a new, dark, and highly dangerous environment for these Genoa City characters when they step outside their usual territory.
Okay, moving away from the immediate LA and AI crises for a moment, we also have significant ripple effects touching the core Abbott family dynamics and other key relationships back in Genoa City. Jill Abbott's departure is imminent,
That's right. She's leaving for London for heart treatment.
and Jill's impending absence is apparently exacerbating her already complex relationships.
Yeah, our sources predict things between Jill and Billy will actually get worse as she leaves. Billy is highly vulnerable right now, struggling with his typical issues, instability, addiction risk, and his mother's focus on her health, coupled with her ongoing corporate maneuvering, seems to be affecting him deeply.
So Jack is stepping in.
Jack is actively trying to step in,
Yeah.
serve as the stabilizing force, attempting to keep Billy out of a spiral, as the sources put it.
But what's particularly frustrating, maybe for the audience, and problematic for the narrative, is the lack of closure on the Kane conflict before Jill leaves,
Right. She is still viewed as someone who often excuses and enables Kane.
which feels wrong somehow.
It suggests that even as Kane is literally flirting with using the super AI for vengeance, Jill will likely leave Genoa City having never really held him truly accountable, which you could argue only fuels the cycle of his bad behavior and consequently Billy's frustration with both of them.
But she does have one final significant financial action to take, something that will reshape the corporate landscape a bit.
Yes. It looks like Jill may meet with Sally Spectra before leaving to finalize the Abbott Comm funding.
Ah, okay. That's big for Sally.
Critical for Sally's future. And it shows that even on her way out the door for medical reasons, Jill is wielding immense corporate influence, making sure certain key figures like Sally, who is often aligned against the Newmans, are financially empowered.
Interesting. Okay, shifting to a deeply emotional storyline now. We have Mariah Copeland. She's currently at a mental health facility in Boston receiving inpatient treatment.
Right, and this treatment is specifically for severe PTSD. And for you, the listener, we really need to contextualize this specific trauma. It's important.
Absolutely. This isn't just general anxiety.
No. We are talking about PTSD stemming directly from the Ian Ward saga, where Mariah was kidnapped, forced to give birth while held captive, and driven to a point where she felt compelled to protect her child by almost killing her captor.
That is severe, complex trauma.
It really is. It involves feeling completely stripped of control, witnessing violence, and struggling with the ethical burden of nearly committing homicide to survive.
And into this incredibly fragile environment, Tessa Porter decides to surprise Mariah by showing up at the Boston facility. The sources strongly emphasize the predicted mood of this reunion is complex, potentially volatile.
Yeah, this may not be the happy, supportive reunion that Tessa probably envisions. We have to remember Mariah, in her pre-treatment state, explicitly told Tessa to butt out and stay away.
Right. She pushed her away.
So for someone grappling with PTSD, trying to establish control over her life and her mental state in a structured environment, Tessa's uninvited presence, however loving the intent.
Could feel like a violation.
Exactly. It could be viewed as a profound violation of boundaries and trust. It might even set back her recovery, demonstrating that sometimes recovery means needing space, even from the people you love most, to truly heal.
That's heavy. Okay, let's tie some of this back to the casting choices we mentioned earlier and the signal they send. We noted the debut of Matt Cohen as Detective Burrow and Tamara Braun as Sienna Bacall.
Right. And this is more than just fun trivia for soap opera history buffs.
It signals something.
I think it's a deliberate tonal shift. Matt Cohen, who's playing Detective Burrow, has a very specific history on General Hospital. He was heavily involved in dark, long-running crime sagas.
And he dated Haley Aaron's character.
Yes, he dated Haley Aaron's character, Kiki, before Kiki was brutally murdered on that show. That's not a coincidence, bringing him in now.
And the connection extends further because the sources remind us Roger Howarth is also joining Y&R soon.
Who played Kiki's supposed father on GH for a long time.
Wow. So the fact that Haley Aaron, who plays Claire Grace Newman, has such close professional ties to two of the three major General Hospital actors debuting around this LA storyline, that has to be significant.
Highly significant, I'd say. It signals a specific genre import. When you bring in actors strongly associated with those high-stakes, long-form crime and mystery plots from General Hospital, you are deliberately importing the tone of dark, sustained investigations, potentially leading to tragic outcomes.
So the LA subplot, the targeted crash, Kyle's desperate pursuit, the sketchy financial past coming back, it's being deliberately engineered to feel more like a crime thriller.
Exactly. Higher stakes, potentially deadly, moving away from the standard corporate drama we usually see dominate.
And considering Detective Burrow is investigating a targeted car crash, and Sienna Bacall is tied to this potentially criminal past involving Audra and Tucker. These actors are essentially the anchors for this imported mystery genre.
Their presence confirms that the LA story is intended to be the dark epicenter of the show, at least for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so we have covered an incredible amount of ground here. Let's try to synthesize the overarching themes emerging from our deep dive into these sources.
I think the sources reveal an undeniable major shift. What we're seeing is the characters' deeply personal vendettas and traumas. Noah's targeted crash, Sharon's revived Cassie trauma, Kyle's desperate pursuit of Claire, even Mariah's struggle with PTSD are now directly intersecting with, and often being caused by, the massive corporate power grabs centered on the AI.
And the past is inescapable.
Completely. The past is actively defining the present, as this sketchy, unresolved history involving Audra, Holden, Tucker, and now Sienna Bacall resurfaces to actively disrupt the established corporate hierarchy in personal lives.
My final takeaway really centers on the corporate war, and maybe the law of unintended consequences. The Newman Empire's smug actions against Kane. They haven't simply eliminated a rival.
No, far from it.
They have effectively weaponized a man who now possesses an incredibly powerful technological tool. They have potentially created a technologically armed, vengeance-driven enemy guided by Phyllis Summers, standing right at their gates.
They treated a manageable lawsuit, which they probably would have won or settled.
Right, for an existential, potentially global threat. Big mistake.
And we are left with this final provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider. We've seen that the AI is the ultimate prize. It's pitting Nikki against Victor, Jack against Victor, and Kane against the entire Newman family machine. Kane nearly kissed Phyllis after she proposed using the AI exclusively for vengeance, immediately followed by his desperate call to Lily for stabilization. What personal sacrifice, what emotional line might Kane ultimately be willing to cross? And, maybe more importantly, what specific element of his connection to Lily, his moral anchor, would need to fundamentally break for him to fully unleash the destructive power of the AI alongside Phyllis?
That choice, Lily or vengeance, feels like the defining pivot point for the entire corporate landscape, doesn't it? Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time when we dig into the latest.